One thing I also wanted to discuss was your position on masks.
Hmm.
We've been talking a lot about how concerts are dealing with, social distancing and the ongoing pandemic. And I was curious your take on it.
I'm not a fan of masks. If people want to wear them, that's fine. I would rather not wear them. But if someone says, "Hey, this is my business. You have to wear a mask to come in here," or somebody says, "Hey, if you want to come hang out in my house, you have to put on a mask." I'll okay. I can either listen and wear the mask and shop at your business, or I can go elsewhere. What I'm against are the mandates. I'm against the government overstepping its bounds and telling us that we have to wear this item of clothing, we have to wear this piece of jewelry, we have to wear whatever. I'm
Mhm.
against that.
But don't
Well,
you? Oh, sorry, Rob.
go ahead, Darren.
Don't you think that the government has some? I mean, let's leave the COVID out of it, and we'll just talk about a general case. Like, doesn't the government have some responsibility to manage like the public health? And if there's a massive crisis, they do have some sort of increased authoritarian powers available.
Well, they're
to
not supposed to. They gave themselves that power, sure. By the stroke of a pen, the governor of New Hampshire or the governor anywhere or the president can just say, oh, it's a state of emergency. Now we have martial law and you can't do anything about it. Of course, we're not under martial law or anything like that. I mean, some places like New York City got pretty close there for a little bit, but we're not under martial law. But they can do that. They gave themselves the power to do that. And the Supreme Court said, okay, yeah, this is fine, because for whatever reason, the founding fathers, occasionally brilliant though they were, they decided that the power to determine what the state was and wasn't allowed to do should reside in the Supreme Court, which is part of the state. So it's like police policing themselves.
But we are in a situation where it's like pretty much the medical consensus that if you don't wear a mask, you are helping perpetuate like a deadly plague. So isn't that a scenario where you might say the government really has a right, if it's done like it could definitely be overstepped, like I'll grant you that, but if we keep an eye on the government and make sure that they don't impose tyranny on us, isn't it a good thing to make sure that the virus is spread as little as possible?
I would say no. I'm an anarchist. I'm not a favor of the government mandating anything, even things I like. I'm not a fan of murder. I don't want people to murder. I think murder is immoral. But I don't think that the government saying, hey, murder is illegal now is doing anything to deter people from murdering. It's just causing a prison system apparatus. A person
I will say, just for me personally, if murder was not illegal, I would have killed numerous people in my life.
Sid.
No doubt. The only thing stopping me sometimes is not wanting to go to jail.
Sid is.
Well, that's a morality problem.
I don't have. Yeah, I'm not a moral person.
Aria meets Sid. He's not he's lacking a moral compass.
It's true.
I mean, there are those people out there. So in some cases, sure, the fact that it's illegal is a deterrent for people to not commit murder. But the vast majority of people who commit murder aren't once they're willing to commit murder, their own internal morality has already broken down. Mm-hmm. And that's what is staying most people's heads. It's like, hey, no, I don't want to kill anyone.
By that token, if we're going against what 99.7% of doctors say is killing 200,000 people, aren't we in a sense like murdering them?
Were we murdering people last year when we were spreading pneumonia and not wearing masks?
Did that happen? Sure, if that's
sure,
what happened.
Somebody absolutely died of pneumonia that they caught from somebody not wearing a mask last year. That absolutely happened. Is that person who spread pneumonia because they weren't wearing a mask, therefore a murderer?
I mean, not that one individual person, but I mean, if the government has the ability to prevent massive deaths, I feel like that's a different scale than one person getting, or 10 people getting pneumonia. Like, it's not a pandemic.
Well, I think what Aria, and I might be wrong, I don't know, but in a way I do agree with you, because once we start implementing these laws by government, it's hard to take them away. So when the government is telling you how to run your business, when to open, when to close, and takes that right away from you, and also is telling you what to wear, I think it's a very, like we're walking very close to the edge.
But I don't agree with that, because it's special circumstances. Like,
so the government
it's
already tells
fascism,
you when you can open or close, though.
Like, I mean, you got to look at what just happened. With just the flick of his wrist, Governor Sununu and all of the governors throughout the United States, they turned your barber into a police officer. They turned your gas station worker into a police officer. They served your fast food workers. They turned them into police officers who were enforcing the laws of the state. Anyone who has a job right now has to enforce these laws, or the businesses that they work for are going to get fined.
Right. Like a Starbucks barista should not be responsible for kicking somebody out for not wearing a mask. That's like a responsibility that they did not ask for. I totally agree.
But these places have signs that say no shirt, no shoes, no service. So an employee is going to have to kick somebody out for that. So they're already sort of deputized to do these things.
That's a policy of the store, though.
Yeah.
It's not a legal requirement. That's a policy of the store.
The store wouldn't get fined by the government. But like, just to kind of pull back, I know we only have a few more minutes here. You mentioned how being an anarchist, you think murder, there shouldn't be a law about murder. So how would, if that were the case, and like, I feel like this is a very nuanced argument. Like if I were to go to my mother, who is an immigrant, and be like, oh, like murder, murder laws are oppressive, like it just, she wouldn't.
I'm not saying they're oppressive. I'm saying they're unnecessary.
They're unnecessary. I'm sorry. I don't mean to put words in your mouth. But so my question would be like, if there wasn't the law, how would murders be prevented?
Well, self-defense. Everyone should be trained in self-defense.
Yes, agree.
Because the police aren't going to prevent you from being murdered. They're going to take 38 minutes to get out to your house to prevent that murder, if they even decide to respond, because the Supreme Court has decided they have no obligation to. So your best bet in whether murder is illegal or not is to know how to defend yourself.
I feel like we're conflating like preemptive defense of murder with what happens when you commit a murder. And
right, yeah. So somebody murdered somebody, right? What should happen to that person? Like a cold-blooded murder. If murder is not illegal,
the person didn't defend themselves adequately,
right?
And they're dead.
Or there was an argument at the store over the wrong amount of change. Person has a short temper and shot the clerk.
Well, as sheriff, I would arrest that person.
That's in your capacity, but we're talking about, like you're saying, like, that law is not necessary. So in your ideal,
I'm saying it's not necessary, but I've also expressed clearly that I will continue to enforce laws where there are. You're asking me about this hypothetical ideal world of how we can prevent murders, but the truth is that the current justice system, it doesn't really do that. It just punishes people for bad behavior. A good, just anarchic society would reward people for good behavior, so that it didn't have any reason or motivation to become aggressive in the first place.
Okay, yeah, that's what I was looking for.
I don't disagree with that, but the reason we got onto murder is because we were using it as a more elevated metaphor for mask wearing. So how would you reward? You seem to be against masks. So do you want to?
I'm not against masks. I'm against mandates.
All right. Let me reframe the question then. Do you feel that wearing the mask, forget about whether it's legal or not, just an individual person wearing the mask, is that beneficial to society? And
yes.
We encourage it. So how would you encourage it without mandating it?
By showing people the science behind it. I mean, you should be able to reason with people. Reason should be the first way that we approach people. Violence should never be on the table. It's okay, you do this or I attack you. That's never okay. That's never the way to approach things.
Right.
Aria, it's been such a pleasure, but I think we have to let you go. I wish we had more time. It's been very fascinating to talk to you. Please come back on the show, especially when you win. We'd love to talk to the official sheriff.
And I hope you get one of those fancy hats that sheriffs wear.
You can get one anywye.
I might have to get one custom made.
Yeah, like a metal one.
With a pentagram right in the middle. Just get just Satanist symbology all over the sheriff's hat.